Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for BroadwayWorld. Five-time Tony Award winner Audra McDonald is returning to Broadway this spring as legendary jazz singer Billie Holliday in the Broadway premiere of Lainey Robertson's play Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill. Under the direction of Lonnie Price, it will open on April 13th at the Circle M Square Theater and run for 10 weeks only. And I dropped by the rehearsal studio to meet the company. I am so excited about you working on this project.
Oh, thank you. I'm scared.
Are you really? Well, this is something you've never done before, right? It's challenging and wonderful at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting amalgam of two mediums which I work in quite a bit. You know, there's stage, you know, doing plays and musicals, and then there's concert work. And so now here I am doing a play about a concert. And so it's an interesting marriage because I understand what both of those are, but marrying them as someone as iconic as Billie Holiday, that's the challenge, you know. I mean, I know how to do a concert as Audra. I'm learning how to do a concert as Billie Holiday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Take me back to the play. When you first read it, what went through your mind? Because it's a beautiful combination of so many things of what it stands for in this play.
Yeah, when I first read it, my first reaction was, I didn't realize all of that happened to her. I mean, I knew the big points, but I didn't realize, you know, the more intricate, you know, linings of the stories. And then my second thought was, this is a bear of a role. And then my third thought was, did she really talk like that? And I questioned Lainey. Not, you know, I did in my head. I thought, I don't think she was that crass. And I think he's doing this for effect. Then I started my research, and I was like, oh my gosh, no. In fact, Lainey dialed it back a bit. This was a very, this is a street-wise woman, you know, who was raised on the rough and tumble streets of Baltimore and was working in whorehouses by the time she was 12 and 13 and had been in jail I don't know how many times in horrible circumstances. And so I think it was Dr. Maya Angelou who said she cursed with such beauty, the same amount of beauty that, you know, an ice skater would do a figure eight. And so that was sort of fun. And then the more I started to learn about her personality and her generous spirit and the way she mothered everybody that, you know, like her musicians and young people, she mothered them deeply because she wanted a child so badly. And then there was all the other stuff as well. I just learned all the different facets of her personality. I just fell in love with her. And so now I'm absolutely in love with this woman.
But you also carved the way for, you know, African-American singers and what she carved that way. Talk about that element of her.
Oh, the fact that she was a pioneer in so many respects. I mean, she was, you know, some of the first acts to sing at Cafe Society, which was like one of the first integrated clubs up in Harlem, started by that wonderful Jewish man, I can't think of his name right now, who was a shoe salesman, who started it because he wanted a real integrated club, not only performers, but as audience members, black or white could come. She integrated Artie Shaw's band. You know, she was the first black vocalist to sing with Artie Shaw's band, and she experienced so much racism in dealing with that, but Artie fought for her, you know, and you know, and then just with the protests that she would do with Strange Fruit, you know, knowing full well the implications of singing such a political song, you know, with dealing all the lynchings that were happening in the country at that time and making such a statement, singing that song. She went through it. She literally was a trailblazer, and she has all the scars, you know, and the bruises, so that my road has been easier. Yeah.
And the songs all have a story, the ones that, you know, she wrote. I mean, did you learn a lot about that
yeah.
researching this?
Oh, yes. And, you know, I mean, like what Don't Explain came from, the fact that, you know, I mean, just what she said when her husband came home one night and he had lipstick on his collar and he just started to tell, and she was just like, just don't explain, man, hush, don't explain, just go take a bath. That's what she said to him, just go take a bath, you know what I mean? And God bless the child, you know, when her mom wouldn't help her, when she was really in a lot of trouble and needed, and she wouldn't help her, and so that's how she responded to that, and so that song came about. Billie also said, time and time again, I can't sing a song unless I feel it. I won't sing a song unless I feel it, and I don't ever sing a song the same way twice, which has also been another challenge for me. In rehearsal, every single time I approach one of her songs, I try and do something different with each one, because that's how Billie was. And she got that incredible skill from when she was first starting out in a lot of these clubs up in Harlem. They go from table to table just singing and hoping someone would drop dollars, you know, or something for them. And so she would sing the same song at 12 different tables within an hour. And so she would just learn to do it a different way each time, just to, that's kind of how she learned.
And talk about collaborating again with Lonnie Price.
Oh, Lonnie is just, he's one of my closest friends. And so it's a very comfortable relationship. We already have our own language that we speak. And so there's no filter, which is a good thing. I push him a lot, and I question, like, why am I doing this? Why is this happening? What does this mean? And he, at the same time, he's the same thing. He's like, what are you doing? I don't believe that. I don't believe a word of what's going on right now. You know what I mean? So there's already, it's kind of like what Prez and Billie Holiday had. I feel that close to Lonnie, and we're that much in sync that I trust him implicitly. I know he won't let me make a fool of myself, and he knows I won't let him, slide either. We're constantly pushing each other. It's a good thing.
You must look so forward to adding the audience into the mix, because this is going to be such about that.
We need the audience. The audience, we always say when you're doing a show, okay, so now we're missing the last element, which is the audience, which now informs us of what we're doing, But in this show, instead of saying the last element, which is the audience, that's the final character. Because this is a concert she's giving. It's an evening of her singing, and she talks to the audience the entire night. So I've been missing, it's like the other actors haven't shown up yet. I have to call equity, I don't know where they've been. But yeah, so that's what we're missing.
My final question is, what are you looking forward the most with bringing Lady Day to Broadway?
I'm really excited about, more and more people knowing her story, and millions of people already do, but it's always great to bring it to a younger audience, and especially with things like Strange Fruit, reminding the younger generations of how far we've come, how far we still have to go. Certainly what the world used to look like as recently as 70 years ago, for a lot of people. And so I think there's a history lesson to be had here, and that's a great thing too.
Did you know the gardenia story of how she started to wear the gardenia in her hair?
The gardenias?
Yeah.
Like,
that she always wore the flower in her hair?
oh yeah.
Sylvia Sims?
Oh yeah, because she had burned. She had burned a big old hole and didn't know what to do, and they had gardenias there, and then it became a crutch for her.
Yeah.
And she had to have them every single night, and then. Actually, in the later 50s, she said, she looks back on it and she said, that was just a silly crutch that I needed for a time. I don't need him anymore.
The best.
It's just a beautiful play, and to work with Audra again is a dream. We collaborate a lot, and just a joy to be in the room with her. So yeah, we're thrilled. We're thrilled, and we have the exact right theater that we wanted, because it's going to be sort of environmental, a little bit of immersion theater. We were creating a club down there, and so I think it's just going to be very exciting. Yeah, we're really ecstatic about it.
Because I was going to ask you, what will the look be in Circle M Square?
Well, we're creating a club. It'll be Emerson's Bar and Grill. When you walk down those stairs, you will be hopefully in 1959 Philadelphia, and you will be at Emerson's Bar and Grill. And there's, it's a huge thrust, as you well know, and there are tables down there. So we've created a cabaret, a nightclub that you would actually hopefully feel like you are. Well, I think you will with Audra. Feel like you're seeing Billie Holiday in 1959.
So take me back to the beginning of this play.
Yeah.
I first saw it when it moved uptown from the vineyard, Lynette and Esapathia, who stood by for her and was always on. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So when you read the play and the two of you started to talk about this, what did you love about the play itself?
Well, the play is really, it's about Billie Holiday, it's about addiction. It's also a real exploration of the African American experience for the first half of the last century. And she had this Dickensian life, raped at 10, worked in a whorehouse, we all know drug addict, incarcerated for a year. She had just the worst possible deal, but found through her music a way to survive and a way to flourish, at least artistically. She's an incredible survivor. And but when you work on it, you really realize that it is just so reflective of that African American experience and the tragedy of it and the cost of it, and it's very specific like that and very moving to me.
And talk about collaborating with Audra. Where did it begin for both of you?
Audra and I worked together first at the Sweeney Todd, the original concert I did 14 years ago, and she was pregnant with Zoe. And we had known each other just slightly, But that was the first time, and like the rest of the world, I fell in love with her, and she's such a hard worker. She's such a she's uninterested in praise. It's all about how can it be better. She challenges me. I think I challenge her, and she makes me a better director because she forces me to be more specific, and it's a very fruitful collaboration. We always have a good time together, and I think the result always is something special. But there's nothing she can't do. We were doing Anyone Can Whistle at Ravinia with Patti LuPone and Michael Cerveris, and at one point I said she would be great. There was a piano on stage. It'd be great if you could go over there and play a concerto. And she said, "Which one do you want?" And I went, "Oh, you also." Well, I was a concert pianist and I said, "The next thing you're going to tell me is that you're a ballet dancer." She said, "Well, I was on my toes only for 7 years." There is nothing the woman can't do. To be in her presence it's a thrill. It's always a thrill.
So what has it been like in the rehearsal room of having Lainey there and the three of you collaborating together?
Laney is a easy and good collaborator. He's precious about nothing. We've not changed the play hardly at all, to tell you the truth. I mean, we'll see in previews, but I think it works the way it is. I don't think it's broken. So we've mostly tried to explore the moments, and in a one-woman show, it can feel like one long monologue, and to craft it, to orchestrate it, so that it has peaks and valleys, and things are more important than other things. And so that's really what we've been doing, is finding the performance in the last. Well, we did a workshop in this January, and so. And now we're continuing with that. So they're challenging one-woman shows. I've done some of them in my life, and they're a hard form, and they're always challenging to me.
I'm sure it really comes together when the audience is added into the mix.
Well, particularly for this, because we're doing it in an immersive way. So Audra is going to be in and among them. So one is going to get a very up-close and personal experience with Billie Holiday and with Audra, I think. So we're excited about that. That is another character in the play. It always is the audience, but in this play particularly, the way we're doing it, they figure very prominently in the storytelling.
And let's talk about Billie Holiday's music, why it has lived on generation after generation.
Well, it's so truthful. I mean, her pain is so universal, and she's not self-pitying. It's funny, my designer, Jim Noon, said she taught us how to feel pain. And in a way, I believe that's so. And this is a kind of music that it's not in my world as much as, say, Sondheim's music is. So it's been a great education for me, and I have an enormous appreciation for it and a love for it now that I didn't have before I started the process. There's a song, Crazy He Calls Me, and there's a line in it, if I have to hold up the sky. And the poetry of that is just so, you wouldn't find that necessarily in a theater lyric, but in a pop lyric, in a jazz song, and with the emotion behind it, it's very moving. It's the stakes are huge, and the pain is big, and I find just the music ravishingly beautiful. And in Audra's hands, you can imagine.
What are you looking forward to the most with bringing Lady Day to Broadway?
I'm looking forward to that first audience to see how what we're doing it translates. See how the club aspect of it works for the play. I would say that would be it.
How gorgeous is the poster work?
I designed it myself.
How excited are you? Tell me, Lainey, how excited are you?
I couldn't be more excited. I've never been so excited, I don't think. I mean, it's just, I'm walking into traffic. I'm tripping over my feet. I'm not at all present most of the time. So it's quite thrilling. And it's quite, seeing what Audra does in the role is just mind-blowing in every way. It's just joyous.
You've had quite an experience with this play. Take me back to the beginning of when you originally wrote it and how it came about.
Well, it was written 28 years ago. It was 28 or 29 maybe. I'm just glad I'm still alive to see it. A lover of mine had seen Billie Holiday in a small club in Philadelphia. It was not EMERSON'S Bar and Grill, which was a club where she sang, And I wanted that for the title. I don't know the name of the place where he saw it, but where he saw her, but it was in North Philly. And he said there were only 6 or 7 people in the audience. So the ink, yes, your mouth drops open, so did mine, and it did for a long time. I thought, how is that possible? That a musical genius, an American artist of that stature, could be so underappreciated at the end of her career, at the end of her life. And so I probably 10 years, I was haunted by that. And I began listening to her records. Well, he was quite a fan of hers, and I never saw her, but I thought Under the Music was, because she never sang a song the same way. If you hear her recordings, there's always a difference in how she delivers the song, unlike most singers. And she insisted on being individual in her approach to the song, and she sang the song depending on how she felt at the moment. And under the like sub rosa, under the joy or pain of the song that she's singing, I felt one could hear the unwritten life story, and I began listening to that. Of course, I did all the research, and then as a white person, I was trying to write, in her voice and getting it totally wrong. And the structure of the play began with the music. The first song she sings, the first lyric is, "All I know is I'm in love with you." Now that song, I thought, she's probably stoned. She comes to the microphone, the light comes on her. She sees the microphone. She knows she's supposed to sing. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't maybe know who she is. She begins to sing. And so the songs, I began to put together an emotional structure, a skeleton, as it were. And then one night, I always write standing. And in those days, I was using a typewriter on a hospital bed that was raised up. And one night, I dreamed that I was hearing her voice and jumped out of bed and ran to my typewriter and started. I woke up enough to realize I was not typing. I thought I was typing in my dream. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm hearing her voice. And it was just, of course, I'd spent about 16 months, I guess, just listening to the music. When I showered, when I shaved, when I washed dishes, when I vacuumed. And I think that all of that time listening to the music gave me a sense of her sound as a speaker. So suddenly I began writing the play and wrote it in like 3 or 4 days.
Really? But you had done all the research?
I'd done all the research. I interviewed people who knew her. I listened to the records, and I lived with that awful image of her singing, to so few people for a long time.
Look at the journey this play has taken.
Amazing. And I'm still here. I could sing that song if I could sing.
Exactly. So talk about the collaboration in the rehearsal room between you, Audra, and Lonnie, what that whole experience has been like.
Well, it's been, I'm basically an innocent bystander. The Lonnie and Audra are, he could put on her dress and she could put on his trousers. They're just so wonderful together and very sensitive people. Where I have seen things that I thought were going amiss or something, I've spoken up or suggested alternate, ways, because of course there's no one way to do a play. And it all depends. And Audra is so sensitive she has such a close connection with her emotional life that she is quite amazing. And I think Lonnie is able to mold that, as a very rich clay. But basically she's got it. Basically it's there. So it's a small kind of like adjustment, but it's been absolutely incredibly wonderful to witness. You know, I laugh hysterically and cry and all at the same time. So they don't know what, what's going on with me, nor do I. So,
What are you looking forward to the most with having your play on Broadway?
getting out of debt, paying off the IRS. I'm breathing down my neck. No, seriously, I couldn't be happier. To heck with the debts, it's, one lives with that if one's an artist of any kind. I'll call myself an artist. What am I looking to most? The audience response. When the play was done at the West Side Arts, one of the greatest experiences of my life was I always went to speak to Lynette McKee after or during the show. Not during the show, but afterward. And one night I arrived late and I saw the audience coming down the stairs. And to see their faces was one of the most rewarding things of life. So I'm looking forward to that again, to another generation, encountering a brilliant artist being performed by a brilliant artist. And I said to Audra, I think I wrote this play for you, but you were too young to play it. And we didn't know if Lonnie could direct in those days. But it's quite, I'm looking forward just to the first audience, I guess.